What up, what up? I'm back at it again with another video. So, before I get into the video, you know what I'm gonna say. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. I'm trying to get this video to at least 50 likes. And as all of you know, I am approaching 2,000 subscribers. So, I need your help. Please share my content. Please let people know what it is you like about my stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you get notified every time I post a video and every time I share a post. Okay, so today's video is going to be quite a serious, heavy topic. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a trigger warning for rape culture. I'm also going to give a trigger warning for grooming. It came to my attention this week on Twitter that somebody I have been following for years on YouTube has been accused of grooming teenage girls, and so I kind of didn't really want to talk too much about that because, you know, this is still a very sensitive topic and it's still developing and things like that. But I did want to talk about rape culture. I did want to talk about male sexuality. I did want to talk about the ways that patriarchy conditions men, or thought to be boys or thought to be men, in, you know, particular ways. How it conditions us to intertwine our attraction with control and domination. So, you know, I did a video in the past about like unlearning misogyny helped my mental health and things like that. And so in some ways I guess this conversation will be along, you know, the same vein or something like that, about like this is good for you. Like unlearning this stuff is good for you. If it's not appealing to you just off of the strength of like, oh, like controlling people is bad, you will have a better, healthier sex life. You will have a better, healthier relationship with other people, whether they be men or women or non-binary people or what have you, if you detangle control and domination from your attractions. And so like I feel like this can be a challenge because for a lot of men, we're not even aware of the fact that our attractions are so intertwined with control and domination. But even when you do become aware, it's kind of like, okay, well, what are some tools? How do you do this? And I do think that the first thing is awareness. I think that another one is really asking yourself questions. So what do you think would happen if you weren't in control in your relationships and sexually or just like romantically? What do you think would happen if you weren't always dominant? And I think that like some of what might come up might be things for you to explore, maybe in therapy, or just things for you to be aware of. Oh, if I'm not always in control, if I'm not dominating, then I will be dominated. And so like that sort of like intense fear of like always having to be in control, and somebody's winning and somebody's losing, or somebody's being dominated and somebody's submissive or whatever, a lot of that is steeped in rape culture. A lot of that is really, really unhealthy. It's a really unhealthy way to look at relationships. It's a really unhealthy way to look at sex. During sex, somebody doesn't have to be dominant. Somebody doesn't have to be submissive. For me, a lot of the best sex is about enjoying my body and getting pleasure from giving pleasure and receiving pleasure. So it's like a give and take, you know? And so like this might also bring up other things for people. Like a lot of people have trouble receiving love. A lot of people have trouble receiving in general. A lot of people have trouble giving. And so I think that when you work on that relationship of like being able to receive and being able to give, and that both are important because it's a flow, you know what I mean? And when you work on feeling worthy enough to receive, when you work on filling yourself up so much that you have an abundance so you feel like you can give, when you do like that deeper work and you do that deeper healing, I think that it will help you to detangle dominance and control from your attractions and from how you have sex too. And I think a lot of men have to do this work, especially in regards to wanting younger, less experienced partners and less assertive partners. And this is like a conversation I've been having with like my friend from college kind of recently, or like over the last couple years, because literally life goes so fast. So right now I'm 32, but like it's crazy because like I feel like I just graduated from college, and like no, I didn't. Like it's coming up on 10 years, right? But you go from being in college, right? You go from being in college, those years go by kind of fast, and then you're out of college, and then you're trying to figure it out, and you're kind of dating or whatever, and like you're still in your early 20s or whatever, and so it's kind of like at that age, I wasn't really thinking about people's age. As long as they was like above 18, it was kind of like, okay, well, like, I'm 21. If you're like 20, 19, like, okay, whatever, like, I'm 21. Like, oh, if you're 25, okay, whatever, I'm 21. All right, if you're 30, all right, whatever, I'm 21. But now I am out of my early 20s, and I'm out of my mid 20s, and I'm out of my late 20s, and now I'm in my early 30s. And for the first time, in a lot of ways, I have to really be aware of power dynamics, right? So I am 32, and me talking to somebody who is in their mid 20s, even though the ages is not that far apart, depending on where they are in their lives, there's a power dynamic. They're gonna kind of see me as impressive just over the strength of like my age and like where I'm at in my life. And like where I'm at in my life is not really like all that I mean, whatever. It's, to me, it's not really all that impressive, but whatever. My point is that this is kind of like the first time that I've had to think about it on this side of the age dynamic. Before, I was on the other side. I was on the young side. Oh, young, fun. Oh, they're older. Like, oh, this is cool. And now I'm on the other side of it, and it's like, whoa. Part of why you're probably attracted to me, part of why you're probably looking at me as like so impressive, is in part because of my age and power. And there's like there's a dynamic there. If you are in your early 20s or mid 20s and you still live with your parents, and there's a person who has been living on their own for a while, automatically that's gonna be, oh wow, that's so cool, because that's what you want to do. And like, yeah, like you're at where you're supposed to be at. You're in your 20s, your mid 20s, early 20s, whatever, and they're where they're supposed to be at, or whatever, like, you know what I mean? And obviously this goes beyond just like living situation onto career and like what you've accomplished and how much money you got and blah blah. But I just kind of wanted to use that one thing as like a jumping off point to really discuss this, because I never got these talks from like parents. I never got these talks from people in my family. Like, I don't know, people don't really talk about this. And like at the same time, like there's these like ideas about, especially about gender, when it's like a man and a woman, it's like, oh yeah, like the man should be older and like the man should be further along and like have more money and like take care of the woman. And you know, it's common to see older men with younger women, and like we can get into the misogyny and stuff, but there's a power dynamic there. And it's frustrating because people don't really have nuanced, educated conversations about this, and like that's really frustrating, because I don't want to say it sets people up. I was gonna say it sets people up to kind of be in unbalanced dynamics and romanticize it. And this is cultural, and it's just it's so complicated, because I'm sure even like watching this, some people are gonna have like, you know, mixed reactions to kind of what I'm saying. You know, I feel like people might be like, oh, well, yeah, obviously if somebody's under 18, that's wrong. But like, oh, well, if they're above 18, if they're 19 and they're dating somebody who's 30, 40, oh, nothing wrong with that. And it's like, I don't necessarily want to say like, this is wrong, this is right, in terms of like that sort of stuff. But I think it's more important to understand power dynamics than it is for me to say, oh, this is wrong, this is right. It would be very weird if somebody my age was dating a 19-year-old. It would be very weird if somebody a little older than me or whatever was dating a 19-year-old. Drake, I don't know Drake. I don't know Drake. I don't know Drake. I don't know Drake. Drake, you be looking at these young girls. But I also have to acknowledge that as a culture, as a society, these are things that we accept, right? We say, oh yeah, women just mature faster. Women are more mature than boys. Well, you know, other people have talked about socialization and what we expect from girls and women and what we expect from boys and men. It touches on so many different things, you know what I'm saying? But I think that we need to really understand, what is wrong here. The power imbalance. And like, when you talk about things like age and class and race and gender, like you have to talk about power imbalances. You have to acknowledge the power imbalances. And the person with more power has to be really, really, really careful and check in and be responsible. And we're human beings. So I know that will not always happen. And so it makes me very wary when there are these like huge power imbalances, because that kind of can set a relationship up for abuse potentially to happen, and there are many kinds of abuse, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a little vulnerable here. Yeah, I remember when I was in college, I remember like my last year of college, and I was still a Christian, but kind of like I don't know what's going on here. And yeah, I was talking to this guy on campus, and it kind of started as like a friendship or whatever, but I had a crush on him. I had a big crush on him before we ever started like being friends or whatever. And eventually it kind of organically turned into just like, you know, like kind of, what was that? Like just we would make out and stuff and like roll around and sleep in each other's rooms and cuddle and stuff like that, like really cute. And yeah, that was kind of like a nice little button at the end of my college experience. But I remember having these thoughts and these feelings, and now I look back on and I'm like, oh, like this is really problematic. And like a lot of the thoughts and feelings that I had were that like, oh, here's this guy who's really not that experienced with guys at all. Like he didn't really have any experience with guys. I think I was like his first or second guy he had ever like hugged or liked or kissed or whatever. And I remember feeling happy about that. I remember feeling happy that he didn't have any experience. And this person was like my age, like we were in the same college, like there wasn't like no huge age gap. This person was not under 18 and blah, blah. Anyway, I was in college, I was young child. Anyway, I just want to make it clear. But yeah, I remember feeling like happy that like, oh, he doesn't have any experience. And it wasn't coming from a place of, oh, I can control him, but it was still problematic because it was coming from a place of, oh, he hasn't been tainted and jaded like so many other bi and gay men. And like that's really f***ed up, first of all, but it's really problematic. Like it's like this idea of like purity culture and like, oh, like the pure virginal ones who haven't been touched, and then the other ones who are like destroyed and somehow impure and blah blah. And you know, it was really problematic, and it was also really ignorant. And when I look back on that, I was obviously just in such a place, like I was in such a bad place even outside of that. Like I had a lot going on. There was a lot going on. This was before my therapy journey started. I was a different person, I would say. I mean, same person, but very different person. So yeah, I think I had all of these ideas about like how, oh, like I would just never find anybody. Like it won't work out with women. It won't work out with men. With men, it won't work out because men are just so jaded and so mean to each other. And with women, it won't work out because women don't like me because I'm feminine and I'm bi, and it's going to be a fake marriage. And just, child, I had a lot going on. This was over 10 years ago. So yeah, but I did want to be vulnerable about that and just kind of like talk about a time where I was in a place where I kind of thought in that way and how I got out of it. I like that relationship ended and it fizzled out, and I kind of began my therapy journey shortly after that. So I started to really kind of dig deep into some of like the ideas and beliefs I had and some of the pain that I was carrying around. But I think I would have also benefited from conversations like this about like power dynamics and why you are attracted to, or not even attracted to, but why you engage with people, even if they're your same age, why you engage with people who have less experience, or why you, like, it's about the why, you know, and like interrogating the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I pursuing a person with less experience? Why do I believe that? Like, what do I believe about people with less experience and less power? And really like being honest with yourself and understanding the way power works and how power influences consent. So that was the video. If you made it this far, please leave me some hearts down in the comment section below. I know today's video was quite heavy, quite a charged, loaded topic. So please let me know what you think of this. And yeah, if you would like to help me out in any way, my Cash App and my Venmo is right down below. I'll see you next time. Peace.